Playing fantasy esports at Alpha Draft won't make you a better human, but it may make you a more wealthy one. In fact, Alpha Draft doesn't care what the moral character of your life has been to this point in time. It just cares if you entered a contest and if the players you picked to play in that contest get enough points to win you that Skrilla. And you know what? The Skrilla you win and the Skrilla you have to pay to enter is entirely transparent. People can see where you placed, what you won, and how much you want to enter the contest. Which doesn't help the industry, just helps you and to know what's going on in the scene. You also wouldn't want to take yourself on a Korean boot camp to play Alpha Draft because you can't play from Korea as far as I know. You can only play in certain states in North America, in the United States of America actually. In 2 years, by playing Alpha Draft, you will definitely not be kissing the Summoner's Cup. So in that sense, you have the same chance as all the Ember players. Nor for that matter will any NA scrub in LCS or in Alpha Draft. But you can cop these nuts while I stack that Skrilla biatch. Okay, the way I pronounced that last part, bit weird, but it's the way I'm going with it. So, it's been released today. First of all, there was a news report by the Daily Dot saying that due to investor disagreements after the Ember NA Challenger scene lost to Team Dragon Knights in the NA Challenger scene, the team would be releasing all of their players except a guy called Contracts. And there was even a note that said that the investors would be essentially stopping the money and implying that the players wouldn't be paid the rest of their contracts. It was obviously big news. So Ember themselves have released a medium that says that they've released Glebe, Golden Glue, Stun, LOD, Santorin, and Solo. And also that Bao Lam, the general manager and co-founder, has resigned and they've got a new general manager, and that you can contact Ember if you want to potentially buy contract or talk about buying the Challenger spot, which implies that the organization doesn't have any money and they're looking for people to potentially buy, but they've only got one player in the spot at the moment. Now, first and foremost, before the roast session begins, there are some good things about Ember. First of all, to the players who got the money, and the money that they did get paid very good salaries, well above the average for Challenger and even LCS level, which is impressive, and they got paid these great salaries, so good for those players. They got a lot of money, and the org somehow got some money out of other people and funneled it to these players, so okay, that's a good thing in a certain sense, from a certain perspective. They also did help with some aspects of transparency. They at least provoked discussion over it. They did show us how much their players made, so we could all see if that was too much, if it was too little, if people made us stuff elsewhere. I've no doubt that probably did help some other players at least think about what they're going to do in the next salary negotiations, knowing that sort of money in any context is available, and at least now they have a guide. That's all good. And I'll give them credit, beyond the smugness and the sort of like hippie vibes, I'm sure there were some noble intentions there. I don't think that was all cynical marketing and propaganda. I think they did buy into some of that stuff, and they did actually think that they were doing something wonderful, and they hoped that they were going to make a project that would help make people's lives better. Now, what's bad is this notion that some of the sponsors, investors, are not going to honour their contracts and pay out the salaries. If that's actually the case, that is really fucked up. Like, first of all, I think at that point in time, there deserves to be some kind of, if it's illegal, some kind of naming and shaming of who the fuck these investors are, so they can't then go and invest in another team without that team knowing that they didn't pay out the Ember contracts. And no one else in the scene will do business with them without at least knowing that these people did not honour their word beforehand. I also think if what they've done is actually illegal, as in if you could take them to court, that this is where the fact that Ember is just an org and probably won't pursue it and won't have the money and the legal team and the time to be able to pursue it, means that, again, esports suffers, and esports is not legitimate as a business, because in a proper business, you should be pursuing this and saying, right, well, we're going to get that money that we're owed. So this is a scenario where if Riot wants to control the whole league and make franchises and all the rest of the crap that we hear rumours of and see their actions pointing towards, this is where Riot or some kind of team union needs to pursue this and needs to make sure that sponsors know they can't come into this area, promise massive amounts of money, that money gets signed contracts to say, oh, these players will be paid it, players move to other countries or whatever, or move to a certain place, play there for their job, and then don't get paid all the salary that they should have over that time period. Now that's fucked up, because vice versa, if the players had been paid it and then the player wanted to leave and just go at this point in time, they'd be, oh no, sorry, no compete. Like, you can either leave and not get paid, or you don't get to go somewhere else and compete for another team, or we can hold you to this contract, yet they're not being held to the contract themselves. That's fucked up. So I hope something is done about that, if indeed it's somehow illegal. Now, one of the interesting things about this story of Ember who came forwards and they released the salaries and were transparent about how much everyone made, and like Golden Glue made like 92k or something, and then when they signed Santorin there was some ludicrous fee like adding in the signing bonuses like 105k or some mental number like that. One of the things people never really commented on much is that one of the people involved with a lot of this and making a lot of the statements actually was a guy called Bao Lam, the guy who's resigned, who is actually the older brother of Hai. People might not notice that. Hai Lam is obviously Hai of Cloud9, the shot caller, former mid lane and now support, former jungler of Cloud9, someone who's been to Worlds twice. And this guy was a co-founder of the team. He was the general manager of the team. Now, what's interesting that he's involved with it is obviously Hai seems, in a League of Legends context, a very smart guy. Seems like a guy who really understands people, seems very shrewd in his decision-making in-game, really has a great intuitive mind for the game and comprehending strategy and what the most efficient and reasonable decisions are from different points of a game in desperation times when you're ahead. Seems to be have a fantastic grasp on when to do what. So it's just funny to me that his brother basically has been in a situation where, as far as we can tell, he's been in the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe done some of the wrong moves, fucked up some of the decisions, not pulled everything off the right way, hasn't quite executed things the way he'd want to, and yet he's the brother of someone who seems to have all the opposite qualities and seems to have a fantastic grasp on exactly what seems to be his weakness. I'm actually kind of reminded of a whole Reggie Dan Din type scenario from TSM and Epic Gamer, where Dan Din, there was actually once an interview, I think it was for Machinima, where Dan Din actually mentioned this, where he said something along the lines of like that him and all the rest of his brothers in the Din family had 4.0 GPA, like the best you can have, and then Reggie apparently had like a dog shit one, and so like his mom was like, "Oh, Dan, you got to look after Reggie. Like, don't know what he's going to do with his life," or something like that. And so the implication was, Dan's the smart one, and Reggie's just the kid who played games, and somehow it worked out for Reginald in the end with his company in TSM. So when I look at this, the reason why I'm reminded of it is because it feels like Dan and Hai are the smart ones, and then Reggie and this Bao guy, not so much. In fact, I'm actually reminded of a classic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I believe it was from, let me think, it would probably have been the 80s, right? Maybe like 1988, called Twins. And in this movie, Danny DeVito, the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that tiny little like midget type guy who's fairly ugly, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's fully jacked and ripped and looks fantastic in this movie. They're supposed to be twins. Now, obviously not identical twins. And what happens is, obviously, it's a comedy movie, so that's the whole premise, and that's the whole conceit that they're playing off all the time, that these guys are twins, even though, they have nothing in common, and they come from totally different worlds in the movie. Now, the key point I'm going to make here is that there's a scene where they go and visit, like, the scientist who essentially made these two twins, because what happens is they were like made in a test tube or something, using like an embryo or whatever, and he explains that actually the original plan was just to make one person, the person that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, the fantastic specimen of humanity, and the idea was to make the most fully developed human in the world, and so he says, and so the Danny DeVito character, the little piece of shit, says like, "Oh, so wow, you got two perfect babies out of it, like what a delusional guy this is." And so obviously the scientist's like, well, no, all the purity, all the strength, all the good qualities went into him, and then all the crap that was left over went into you. And so, well, that might be a harsh comparison. That's what I think of when I think of the fact that these pairs of brothers are so different, it seems like, in their success in life and the way that their skills or talents have manifested relative to their relative, who happens to be much better in exactly the areas where they seem to fail. So, interesting note there. Also, this character features in it because he then said this comment after Ember released all the players, where he said in a tweet that said, "Also, a single player on an NALCS roster's salary was equal to our entire payroll, so go figure." Now, by the way, he's not saying like every player. He means like literally there's a single player in NALCS right now whose salary, is equal to the entire Ember payroll, so a massive amount of money. We're talking, what's that, like 400,000, 500,000? Must be some there up there. So, the problem with that is the equivalency there doesn't really work, does it? Because your player should be much, much cheaper than that player, because whoever that player is, we can all speculate, it's probably a very famous, very good player. So first of all, that player is infinitely more marketable than fucking Santorin, no personality, Golden Glue, are you having a laugh, dog shit in NA, Glebe, yeah, okay, mate, we haven't got all, unless we can reincarnate Sigmund Freud, I don't think we're going to be figuring that one out, so he's going to Worlds. Infinitely more marketable than these guys, way more famous than these guys, for sure, way better at the game than these guys, way more likely to succeed, not going to lose in fucking NACS semi-finals, and is playing currently in the highest viewed league, NA LCS, not NA Challenger scene, which next to no fucking people watch, and probably most people don't even know that your team went out of yet. They probably still think, oh, they're going to do in promotions. They're not in it, as far as I know. So part of the problem with the whole Ember thing, and what the rest of this video is going to be about largely, is that unfortunately the way they came out to make a bit of noise and to get some PR for themselves was in kind of an obnoxious manner. Like, one of the first things I saw was when I saw a Daily Dot article where they said, like, we're a bunch of former rioters who want to make something special in esports. Like, oh, well, that's not condescending at all. I guess everyone else's org that they've made and made, you know, made sustainable over years and years and built up from a small org and recruited players and developed talent and then paid them higher salaries and gotten sponsorship and gone to Worlds and won an LCS and all these things. I guess all of that wasn't special enough for you guys. You guys wanted to create something truly special. You know, as a rioter, as someone who's come down from the Mount Sinai of riot and to the plebeians who in these primitive cattle herding villages, I will teach you of the ways of the riot philosophy on life, and we will make something truly special. Yeah, okay, that's a little bit obnoxious when you've done nothing, by the way. Okay, you haven't done anything so far. You just got a load of money, you pumped it in a load of players that aren't even good, and then you were like waving your dick around. Look at this big dick I have. And you know what? I fuck great with it too. You ever fucked anyone? I'm sure when I do, I'm going to make them all come. Say, great, mate. How about actually doing something first? I might be fucking a fat bird, but guess what? I'm ploughing that. And you know what? She loving it too. Anyway, she riding that shit like the mechanical bull at a fucking, I don't know, some bar in America. I've never been to one of those. I don't know. I see all that shit in movies. Anyway, back to reality. Well, there goes gravity. So, it's a little obnoxious when you've done nothing. I mean, it did feel like when they came out with that post, yeah, they were making a lot of their intentions clear, their goals and all that, great. But also, the tone of it did feel like they were kind of lecturing other organisations. Other organisations that have accomplished much more than they ever will and had at that time, and certainly surpassed anything they did in this amount of time, with much more resources, by the way, now than those orgs had in the past. So they did way more. That seems to be a general trend, by the way, in esports, that new people to the scene, new coaches, new orgs, new owners, the first thing they do when they get in the door is go, everything around here is primitive and shit, and the way you guys do it is all wrong. I'm going to do it right, and so listen to me. This is how it all should be done. When they've done fuck all and they have no place to be speaking at that point besides just giving an opinion and speculating. I mean, there's a great example of this in StarCraft 2 with the Axiom org, which is Total Biscuit's org, but essentially, as far as I know, mainly run by his wife, where, man, I could make a whole video on that. Maybe I will one day, because that was some obnoxious shit. But anyway, one of the areas that was fairly obnoxious, even though we all know what they meant, was they made this tagline that they kept using everywhere, which was, better humans become better athletes. I mean, first of all, pro gamers aren't athletes, so ignore that part. But anyway, better humans become better athletes. I mean, I'd love to see some sort of scientific study on that, or even some sort of case study, or even some sort of compelling argument. Like, find me some brilliant athletes and show me how they were better humans. Was Michael Jordan a better athlete? A better human? Seems like a mild asshole, and in some ways, a bit sociopathic. Is someone like Alex Rodriguez a great human being? Seems to have had like drug issues in the past, allegedly. Has a lot of like scandalous stuff surrounding him. People suggesting he cheated. You know, there's a lot of fantastic athletes that are not really great humans as far as they go. Meanwhile, some fantastic humans. Like, I mean, Luke Walton seems like a really cool guy. He's very down to earth. Dogshit player. Never a particularly very good player. Only a good player on one of the worst Lakers squads that they've had in the last 40 years. Then they put in this whole aspect of, I mean, by the way, I do understand the concept there. Yeah, I kind of agree. If people are really happy and they're developed in their life and they've got other interests outside of the game, if they're then very good at the game, that might alleviate pressure and it might help them channel their creativity into it and it might make them more balanced overall. That might all be the case. But the way it was presented like that, better humans make better athletes, like, come on, man, that's so obnoxious. Then they had this whole part in their statement, okay, that like fucking manifesto they had, which was like about how they're not going to boot camp with Koreans, even though the players asked them, like, please can we boot camp with Koreans? And they're like, you poor fool. You want to boot camp with the Koreans because they are better than you. But you know what? If you compete against yourself and you make yourself better than Koreans, then you wouldn't need to boot camp with Koreans. That's all well and good when some fuck is sat in like a padded armchair with a pipe and he's going, oh, my poor boy. But in actual reality, we have to show something tangible in the fucking game. Boot camp with Koreans right now would have helped them a hell of a lot. More than competing against themselves and watching a load of fucking VODs of their shit players going, yeah, well, I got away with that even though I burned my flash at level 2. But you know what? He didn't kill me, therefore it's perfectly fine. It's all okay. Now, can I have some ice cream? No, my boy. Granola. You want to be a better human and a better athlete, don't you? Oh, God, I hate my life. Please help. I am trapped in a commune. So anyway, I mean, there was actually this, I mean, Let's have a look. Okay, so when he made that statement, I'll read out some of this. It says, "It is widely acknowledged that the best players in League of Legends are from South Korea. Therefore, it came as no surprise when one of our players requested that we bring the team to boot camp in Korea. His logic, yeah, not everyone's logic, play against the best players in the world to get better. You can only compete against others or yourself, or against yourself. I mean, by your logic, if you compete against yourself, you're doing both at the same time. So I don't really know why you would say that. Surely you're competing against yourself while competing against others. And in fact, trying to improve yourself, knowing that against others, the best in the world, you're not quite good enough, gives you more motivation and kind of channels you and shows you where you need to improve in yourself. So I think that's already broken down there. But you know what? You're just saying this is a monologue. No one's replying to you. Wonder what that must be like, eh? Woo! While both have value, we prefer to focus on competing against ourselves. It's also a lot cheaper, you know, and you don't get wrecked when you do that. This is why we spend a lot of our time analysing gameplay footage. Not like checking if we've got reasonable investment and if like those investment guys are actually on the same page as us and keeping them updated and making them understand that it's not about success in the short term now and winning this particular NA Challenger match. Like, you know, we're on this for a long term right now, and you do understand like as we go forwards, we're making better humans, better healthy. Don't focus on that too much on the gameplay stuff. Reviewing our mistakes and successes and challenging our players to understand the why rather than the what. So, guys, what went wrong there? Well, at level 2, we did this. We'll probably do something different. You know, maybe in that team fight, like the shot call wasn't quite correct at this point in time, like I thought it was. So, like, I'll look into, like, you know, maybe my decision making is a bit off. Maybe I need to like understand the style we're trying to play. No. That's all what? Stop giving me what, man? Hey, man. Stop giving me what? Why are you so focused on like the here and now, man? Give me the why. Like, why are you doing that, man? Why? I mean, I have difficulties with decision making. I'm not that good at play. No. Why though? Why are you? Why are you making those mistakes, man? Huh? Why aren't you a better human being? Eh? You know when you were at school, teachers used to tell you, buck up your ideas. You used to think, whatever, man. I'll be out of school soon. I'll have a job. I'm going to be in that band. Why didn't you just focus more on school then? Maybe you'd have been a better human. Maybe you'd have learned something. Maybe you'd have expanded your mind. Maybe right now, you'd be a little bit more confident. You know what? You might kiss a girl one day. How do you think about that, eh? Stop playing this fucking game. Why don't you become a better human? Why don't you experience love? Why don't you respect yourself? How are you going to respect an opponent if you can't respect yourself? Like, imagine the fucking, like, sessions they must have got in with those condescending fucks. A bunch of, like, 18-year-old kids being paid way too much money, trapped in some sort of Foxcatcher-esque fucking nightmare with these guys. Like, mate, I just hope they didn't bust out any coke. Golden glue. You ever sniff it? Anyway, allegedly. I don't even know if saying allegedly protects me at that point in time. But we all know Ember's not pursuing me because they're not even pursuing people who don't pay their players, apparently. Allegedly. I still don't know how that even works. I'm just going to keep saying allegedly. So anyway, let's keep going in this statement. Using a sports analogy, oh boy, strap in. Are you ready? We think our players' time is better spent getting incrementally better by playing against opponents with similar skill levels and understanding the context of the match rather than playing against and getting lit up by Serena Williams for 2 weeks straight. Now, here's the thing. As a concept, I actually understand what he means, and there is something reasonable about this. But they've made such extreme examples, and they've been so pretentious, because what they haven't explained yet, you notice, here's the key thing, is actually how you're going to get as good practice playing against lesser opponents, which I believe is possible, by the way, or I think is possible from my experience and things I've conceived of myself and visualized. They haven't really explained how they're going to do it. What they've essentially said is, but the ideal would be this. Yeah, it would be, but how can you practically do it? Yeah, I haven't quite figured that out yet. I'm trying to figure out the why before I figure out the what, man. Like, yeah, brilliant, great, again. I mean, I bet you spent most of the time figuring out, like, why you was getting high behind the bike sheds, not what you were supposed to be doing at that point in time. So, I mean, again, that's just a great example of some shit that sounds great in theory, but if you haven't got a practical application, it means nothing. If there's a practical application, like go to Korea and play with the best players, that we know at the moment works. It's not the best, maybe, but it works right now. I mean, obviously they had some good points about the balanced lifestyle. Then there was the part where they explained how they were going to foster regional talent. Then they just went and signed Thorin, a fucking European player, and paid him like 105k or whatever it was. So, great job fostering regional talent. I guess there was no talent at juggle position at all in NA, right? That you could foster and, you know, develop that. No, just going to sign Thorin. Oh, okay, because he wanted to win now, yeah. Same thing every other team did. That's why they don't foster regional talent. The hypocrisy. Oh, it's gorgeous. That makes me feel good inside when other people are pieces of shit. Anyway, next part. They then said, for the same reason about fostering regional talent, that is why we decided against purchasing an LCS slot directly. Think about that. They're implying they could have purchased an LCS slot. They chose not to. Hey, listen, man, we're going to start from scratch. That's like that Ocelot shit of like, I want to build something, man. I want to build something new, like from nothing. I want to start at nothing so people don't think I got a leg up. Now I'm going to build something new. Like, okay, mate. So this is why we decided against purchasing an LCS slot directly. We would rather invest in the challenger scene and work with regional players who want the opportunity to compete at the highest level of esports. Unless you're a jungler, in which case get the fuck out because Santorin's coming in from Europe. Sorry. And they wanted to work at the challenger scene instead. Well, guess what? Losing in the challenger scene semi-finals seems to have just gotten your whole fucking lineup disbanded. People have all lost their jobs, aren't going to get paid out the rest of their contracts. And it seems like your investors weren't so committed to your core values after all, eh? I mean, it seems like they actually probably would have stuck around longer if you'd been in LCS and at least done all right and had a chance to approach to it, right? Far be it from me to seem condescending there. Seems like better businessmen get better contracts and deals and have a better livelihood for better athletes. You know, maybe that's the way to think about it. Maybe instead of thinking about the what of what you're doing there, maybe you should think about like why you're doing it, man. Like why are you doing this? Are you trying to make yourself seem like very altruistic? Are you trying to dream an impossible dream? Are you trying to be everything your dad told you you'd never be, but you want to make it on your own? You want to build something from scratch rather than take that obvious shortcut to the next level. What is it you're trying to do here, man? Just tell me the why. Listen, don't focus on the what. Just tell me the why, man. So the salary revelations that they had in making their salaries transparent, here's the bad part. They immediately showed everyone in the industry that they were way overpaying for those players. Now, if you had, here's the thing, if they'd had OQ and stuff and they told me they're paying them 8K, okay, I get that. OQ's fantastic. But they were paying mega bucks for what was a very mediocre set of players. I mean, they essentially had players who would either be in bottom 4 LCS teams or would be subs for better teams that had come in on a week where they couldn't use a player and they're fucking losing. You'd go, God damn it, I wish that way I wasn't in the team anymore. Dignitas, etc. So it was bad business, first of all, to show that you're overpaying. It's also bad business to overpay those players. It also makes you think, coupled with all your altruistic values and core values and goals and dreams, makes you seem like you're a charity, and that the reason you're overpaying them is because you think these players should get more and you think it's awesome that these players get more money, so it makes you seem like a charity, not a business. Well, guess what? I don't think your investors want to be a fucking charity and not a business. I think when investors find out that you're paying way too much and then you don't even succeed off that and they could have paid less and you essentially just burned up some of their money for nothing, they probably get a bit pissed off and think, you know what, maybe it's time to cut my losses with these mofos. And also, think about this. As much as we can blame the investors that it seems quite stupid to just waste this money and then have nothing for it, not even sell the players, not have anything from it whatsoever, literally just burn the money into cinders, Ember, classic, then, I mean, I do have to at least give them the benefit of the doubt that, I mean, if I saw the way this was going and how shit the team was and how much we were paying, I might go, you know what, yeah, I did pay like 300,000 now, but if it's going to be 400,000 next split, I think I'll just get out now rather than pay 700k total, just have the 300k down the drain rather than 700k down the drain. Maybe, bearing in mind, one of the things they did recently was hire Mind Games Weldon as their coach. Maybe here's the problem. I'm trying to be reasonable, okay? Maybe Weldon was around the team house and he was talking to all the new owners and he was telling them like, yeah, man, listen, the thing is, like, I actually think as a general philosophy that like people in life need to have realistic goals, and then they need to listen, they can't just have goals and then just like set a goal then never set in place the strategy to accomplish it. You've got to set in place like small incremental steps that one by one get you closer to your goal. Every day you're getting closer to your goal and you can see that in the long run you're not heading down a dead end, you're heading towards success. And success is a long path. It's a journey that starts with it starts with one step and it's 1,000 steps, but you've got to take that one step first and you've got to figure out, is that the right step for me at this moment in time? And then when he got to the end of it, the investor didn't realize he was just talking about like players and like, you know, spinning a bunch of bullshit that like, you know, you read in like a very simple self-help book. Instead, the investor was like, Jesus, you've just made me realize what am I doing? Like, what these steps, putting in this money isn't getting me towards my goal. Oh my God, what am I doing? I burned all that money, 92,000 for Golden Globe. What the fuck am I doing? Okay, it's not too late. I've still got some money. Okay, if I pull out right now, they can't They probably can't sue me. If I can just get the fuck out, like, I don't want to pay any more money for Golden. That's not working out. Santorin, what the fuck was I thinking? I saw that guy get his head bodied in at the MSI. What's he going to do with can't even get through Challenger? Right, if I just get out now, I can get my whole life on track again. I'm going cold turkey on this esports shit. I'm going to start investing it in small businesses. I'm gonna do incremental things. When a business like is evaluated correctly, then I'll know to put more money in, and I'll see how the first quarter's going, and I'll go, thanks, Weldon. You have done a brilliant job, mate. And by the way, none of you have any money in. Peace of fuck out. So then they just bailed the fuck out, apparently. Allegedly, in my hypothetical dream world. None of that actually happened, by the way. Also, remember that part, the most obnoxious part, where they said, because they thought that their whole approach would not only make them really good, but it would like spark a revolution that would like go through the whole industry, and then everyone in NA be having like regional talent, and it'd be like making better humans and better athletes, and they'd be taking over the Koreans, who must be the best humans ever fucking created, apparently. In fact, in some ways, their theory is some sort of mad racial theory. Think about how good Koreans are. Even like the C-tier Koreans reckon NA and EU, so they must just be like, Koreans must be the master race, basically. So anyway, here's the thing. They made that statement where they said that that in like 2 years, an NA team will kiss the Summoners Cup. Which is hilarious, by the way, because we're already like almost 1 year into that. If you think about it, like, well, we're not that far into it, but we're going to be 1 year in by this Worlds. So the likelihood of that happening, still pretty far off. And also, when you're the team that can't get out of NA challenges, like, just shut the fuck up, mate. Like, no one wants to hear that. It's a brilliant goal. It's a lovely notion, but just you aren't the person to be expressing that, and nothing you did is contributing towards an NA team kissing the Summoners Cup. I mean, the whole thing that the radical transparency helps our team and the whole industry succeed. Well, your team didn't succeed. Just scratch that one off there. Did it help the whole industry succeed? I don't really know that it did yet. Not many people following in your steps. Even people, by the way, who said they were in favour of it, like Immortals Zero, they didn't seem to really follow in your steps. So I don't know how it helped the whole industry succeed. I mean, I guess it did in a way, inadvertently, because now people have learned not to invest in some ridiculous idealistic bullshit without proper planning, and probably you scared away a few people who wouldn't be that good investors anyway and probably shouldn't invest in it. LCS, so I guess you help the industry sort of. It's going to have less money, but it'll have the right money in it. So congrats in that one, I guess. And let's hope that the investors for Ember don't, since they're not going to pay the contracts, maybe, hope that they don't actually get like subpoenas to appear in court. I don't even know that, if that means you're the person who's a defendant or you're a witness. I don't know how the fuck it works. Let's hope they don't get a summons to appear in court and then go out on the lam. See what I did there? That's the end.